of their attacking unit. Richmond have done incredibly well. John Griffin come in at the beginning of the season, working with a really tough fitness regime, and it shows in their defensive structure.
We took a look at their recent results, with the exception of that loss against Saracens where they failed to score. They've beaten Fulham Waterloo 20 points to 12, and against Sharks 15 points to 10, and the Worcester Valkyries 22-5. So there have been some good results in there for Richmond. They're not going to be able to qualify, of course, for the playoffs come the end of the season, but they do have that bonus of French international Gaëlle Mignot returning to the team. And are you surprised she's not on international duty this weekend?
No, I think she's very much cutting her teeth, finding her trade. She's very new to the Premiership, this being her second season, so the fact that she's been capped so quickly is a credit to herself, but she's got lots to prove out here today, and she'll know that, and she'll be hungry to make some metres.
So Jonathan Griffin, looking on, will be hoping for his side to get off to a good start here. So much expectation, but at the same time, so much added pressure on the players, because many of them will not have experienced playing in front of such a large crowd, and that's going to be especially testing for some of the youngsters. For example, I think if we take a look down the starting 15 for Harlequins, Bobby Hayward she's got a lot to prove here.
Yeah, massively. She's going to be hungry for this game, and she's going to want to prove a lot today, so it's going to be really exciting watching her play.
Quins team make their way out onto the field of play. So much expected of many of their players, including the number 6, Shauna Brown. Formerly a hammer thrower, she has been quite outstanding since turning to rugby just a couple of years ago. She's already played for England in an international in the autumn, and now, well, she's knocking on the door on playing future international rugby as well.
Yeah, she's going to want to take it to them today. She's like one.
Keane, who gets it out along the line to Westman, and a good chance here for the backs to stretch their legs early on. We saw a week ago how keen Harlequins were to kick the ball from hand, and many sides throughout this season have been keen to employ that sort of tactic, running from all over the pitch rather than kicking for touch. And some good progress made here on the crash ball from Becky Ball, and the ball now goes back into the 22 and launched downfield by the experienced Abby Chamberlain, and it was juggled, but in the end, up with the ball. Quins make their way up towards halfway. First opportunity now to employ those backs, and Shauna Brown looking for it and having a nose around. The referee indicates a penalty, and Shauna Brown will tap and go herself, and off she heads towards that 10-metre line, driving up towards that midway point in between the 10 metres and the 22. Foraging forward goes Hayward, and releases to the runners once again, crashing over the gain line. Hayward goes to that short side, nice slick hands to bring in Shauna Brown, who's hit hard. 2 players to take her down, but she was still going forward when eventually she grinds to a halt. Runners both on the inside channels and outside as well, as Hayward manages to ship it once more, and now out the backs. Good handoff. Stacey White managing to make a little bit of ground there. Richmond apply the pressure, numbers somewhat depleted. Little chip ahead, and Well, the ball taken in the 22, not marked, and bringing it clear. Holly Myers was closing in there. Richmond once again coming up with the ball as it's shifted into midfield, where it's taken on by Zoe Barber. Released to Chamberlain once more. This kick goes up in the air, and Breach might be able to get a hand on it, but instead it's the on-rushing Britland who comes up with the ball, and it went forwards as well from a Quinn's hand. So if the advantage doesn't result in anything here, Richmond will be able to get the put in at the scrum. Ball offloaded once more. Claire Phelps taking the ball up the middle with a rather unrelenting first passage of play, and we come back for the knock forward. And Amy, from what we've just seen there, both sides looking to play rugby, and Quinn's using Shauna Brown as the battering ram, as one would expect.
Yeah, you can see Richmond's intent straight off from the kick-off. They are going to look to be in oars around the breakdown, and they're going to try and disrupt quick ball for Harlequins, because they know out wide with Fee Pocock, Holly Myers, that we've got a real threat. So Richmond from the off are competing everything.
In the set, who do you expect to have the upper hand here?
Well, knowing Karen Finley and knowing that she prides herself on set piece, it will be very much Harlequins wanting to dominate scrum ball.
And dominate they do, with a very good nudge on that first scrum, but Richmond still managed to offload the ball and get it out to Britland in the centre of midfield. Sharkeen goes to Chamberlain once again, who kicks through on Breach, and that one skips off the turf rather unhelpfully as far as Breach is concerned, but now she has the first opportunity to run, and using that great sleight of foot and pace, she takes the ball up towards the 10-metre line. Released by Hayward again. Crash ball this time carried on by Greenslade. Quinn's managing to punch a few holes, but once again that Richmond defence standing firm but breaking through. Play comes up towards halfway. However, Harlequins are penalised, and Richmond now, much to the disappointment of the majority of fans who've packed in here in Quinn's colours, signal that they will have a penalty, and it's a chance here for Abby Chamberlain to give them some good territory.
Yeah, you can just see Richmond's intent to try and spoil Harlequins' ball and force error, which they're doing really well at the moment.
Ball launched downfield by Breach, picked up by Chamberlain, and Richmond with a little bit of open chance here. Ball should have been moved out wide there to Lakatoa-Bua, but it was too slow. And Harlequins managed to get back in numbers, tackling ball now in the hands of Zoe Barber. Good handoff. Play now around 10 metres outside of Quinn's 22, but they win the penalty this time. So opportunity to clear away here, as it's Anna Butler who is penalised.
Again, it's really clear to see Richmond's intent to take it through the middle, take hard yards through the middle of our defensive structure, which is obviously they've done their homework.
Touch found just shy of halfway, so Quins with their first bit of line-out ball here. Had the opportunity there just to see Jess Breach in motion for the first time. Posters of her have been plastered all around the local area, and we have seen, as a consequence, a really good uptake in ticket purchases. And here's the penalty that went the way of Harlequins moments before. Penalty going the other way. Holding on in the tackle, so Harlequins kick up to halfway. They have their first line-out ball here. Easily plucks off the top of the line and then carried forward, and a good maul. Looked to be brought down there, but the referee waves play on it. It's carried up the middle by Shauna Brown. 10 metres made from that particular forage forward, and now Chloe Edwards Carries it up to the gain line again. Excellent tackling so far from Richmond. Bree Hill doesn't quite get the ball away, and off a line steps Holly Myers, but she meets ball and player at the same time, and then it's knocked forward by Bree Hill, and so Harlequins lose the ball, and Richmond on the front foot, and Harlequins defence just for a moment there very much on the back foot. Abby Chamberlain able to chip through. Nice little deft touch, and in the end it runs out of play. It'll be a Harlequins line out, but really good counter-attacking play there from Richmond after they spoilt that Harlequins attack.
Yeah, Bree Hill is she's standing very flat and not giving herself a lot of time on ball, which is putting her under pressure, hence why Richmond are able to capitalise on errors.
So far, opening 7.5 minutes played here at the Stoop, and it has been the visiting side who have impressed more. As a consequence, the Harlequins fans try and lift their team. Davina Catlin towards the back of the line, which is good ball, and a chance here for Bobby Hayward to just dance through the middle, and a great bit of acceleration, still going up over halfway. Nice handoff. Covering tackle comes in. Harlequins players up quickly in support. If they can shift it down the line, just trying to release it out wide there. But it was a little slow, and Davina Catlin will have to take it back in. Just at the moment there when we thought that Jess Breach could be released for the first time. She scored 4 tries in the first half of the returning counter and earlier on in the season, and they all came in the first half. Hayward releases it out into midfield. Driven over Hayward, surely off the feet, and that is the answer. So taken quickly by Bree Hill, who manages to shift it to Edwards. Carried on by Greenslade. Good tackle on her. Shauna Brown goes looking for it, and Richmond offside, and the penalty given to Quinn.
Richmond really looking to cause problems around the breakdown, but they're just getting their discipline and their timing a little bit out, which is giving Harlequins a great opportunity to get some points here.
A decent looking position for an attacking scrum with a split attacking line possible. Brilliant breakaway, and in the end, fine covering tackle to bring that particular little break from Bobby Hayward to an end. But she so far has shown no signs of nerves.
No, she's a confident little player, and I think Leanne Riley being out with international duty, this is a real opportunity for her to step up and actually make herself selectable going forward into the business end of the Premiership.
Well, it was something that Gary Street was really pleased about. He said coming into this game a few months ago, when they were looking at the fact that it clashed with a Six Nations weekend and what would be the possibilities of getting huge numbers in here for a Tyrrells Premier game, well, it's all been answered and it's all come together rather nicely.
Yeah, it's great to have the support that we've had and the media generated. It's been fantastic, and let's hope we can do a women's rugby a good game today.
Pick up from number 8, Fee Fletcher, which fed Hayward, and the ball has gone in there and it hasn't been pulled out. It was a move that didn't really go according to plan.
No, you have the likes of Claire Phelps in the breakdown. She's very experienced. She's an ex-Saracens player and has now moved to Richmond for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and she's very experienced around the breakdown, and she's just using that experience to sort of time her rucking over and counter-rucking perfectly.
So there is the number 8 move, and Hayward was caught very quickly indeed by the breaking Zoe Barber, and as a consequence, great bit of counter-rucking employed by Richmond, and they turn the ball over. They now have the line out just past the 10-metre line, and well, the weather that started with blue skies with the occasional cloud in the air has suddenly changed dramatically, with the wind picking up here and cloud coming over, and we are expecting the odd bit of rain, which could make the handling just that bit trickier as the game progresses. For now, though, good conditions for rugby as Quins shift the ball down the line. Bree Hill manages to bring Myers in, and she manages to ride that initial tackle. and ride it very well indeed. Becky Ball was up quickly into the line. Ball sent across, it's untidy, but they do still manage to shift it down, almost making its way across to Jess Breach. She's in position to ruck over herself there as Jolkos comes through to try and counter-ruck for Richmond. And Quinn's finding it very hard to, at the moment, string a succession of phases together. Ball quickly recycled. Bree Hill manages to get it across to Shauna Brown. She comes to a standstill as she shifts it on into midfield. Stacey White manages to make just a couple of yards and then they ground to a halt once again. Chip back and the ball cleared, but only straight down the throat of Abby Chamberlain, who can lead the counter here for Richmond. And for the first time we get to see Rachel Lakatabua on the ball up towards the edge of the 22. Set out again, really good pass from Sharkeen. Has it again on the edge of that 22. A bit of ducking back inside from Claire Phelps, who took up a good line of running. Quinn's penalised for not rolling away. Penalty to Richmond on the edge of the 22 and the 15-metre line. What will the decision be? Well, the initial mark seemed to be a little closer. In the end, Abby Chamberlain's going to go to the corner.
Yeah, Richmond look really tasty at the moment. They're hungrier around the breakdown. They're coming up quickly in their defence, and it's causing Harlequins to have a massive amount of pressure put on them in their attacking phase, which is causing these errors. So Harlequins need to settle, make sure their defence is good enough, and when they have ball, they need to hold on to it, because Richmond are very fired up, and it shows by where we are and where they are on the pitch.
Crucial line-up ball for Richmond. The last one was untidy. Going towards the front of the line where it's easily collected by Hobday, picked up and driven towards that line a couple of yards short. Excellent counter tackle there. Exactly what happened. It was held up over the line, so Richmond will get another put in and another chance.
Yeah, ambition by Richmond. You know, they're not doing anything cutting edge or pretty. They are literally tucking it up the jumper and making hard yards, making Harlequins make the tackles. And when you're playing like that and Harlequins are being slightly submissive with their tackles, this is where you're going to end up. 5-metre scrum.
5 metres shy of the line, won that line out, and Phelps went so close. Quins have managed to push back, and that offload brilliantly picked up there. Britland being asked to do an awful lot by Libby Povey, but she managed to come up with it, and the ball off to the runner, hard hit, flies in. But Richmond stay on feet and manage to keep that momentum going forwards. Little pop off again to Phelps. 3 Quins players there to make the tackles. They're having to defend for their lives here, and across the line, the try is scored by Vic Bretland. Richmond rewarded for this excellent start here at the Sto. They have the first point.
Yeah, that was really well worked by Keane around the breakdown. She saw forwards, players coming onto the ball at pace, using them to get in behind Harlequins, and then one pass out beyond guard, and there you go, straight through the middle. Harlequins need to have a chat under the post, and they need to compose themselves when it comes to defensive, and they need to be aggressive. They need to hit lower, and they need to hit players back. But that was great feat from the number 12 there.
How much credit do you have to give there as well to Phelps? It took 3 players to bring her to a standstill. That opened up a little bit of extra space out wide.
Yeah, you know, Richmond are quite clearly playing to their strengths, and that is they've got some strong mobile girls who can hold on to the ball and offload, and that's exactly the game that they're playing, and Harlequins have to deal with that.
The conversion is wide from Chamberlain, so no extras, but still 5 points to 0, the advantage here and Richmond are good for it.
Bree Hill just needs to work really hard now on orchestrating the attacking platform for Harlequins, get a bit deeper, get their runners a bit deeper, coming onto it at space and really penetrate that Richmond defensive line.
Bree Hill gets us back underway and Phelps allows it to bounce before picking it out of the air. Has good support from her fellow lock there, Sian Hobday, who manages to carry the ball on up towards halfway. Keane. Little box kick employed, being waited for by Fletcher, who can feed it back inside. And the first chance here really for Jessica Wooden to mobilise herself, and she is penalised for not releasing. And another celebration. Gail Mignot delighted by that one.
The momentum definitely is in favour of Richmond at the moment, and Mignon, her sort of elation in that little win there just shows the mentality of the Richmond team and what they're trying to achieve bit by bit. And Harlequins are coming up sort of left wanting.
There is Gail Mignot, and she will have this line out ball. Hit a jumper. Sian Hobday at the last line out in a similar position, and it was from a very similar position that Richmond were able to apply the pressure that led to the opening try. Going to be Hobday at the front of the line again, but Harlequins first of all managed to spoil the jump, but they didn't manage to stop Laura Capo, who collected it and keeping it tight and going through the phases with those forwards. Quins looking to try and turn it over. Keane has it though. A succession of runners, one of whom is Phelps. She manages to flick it back, and Keane now feeds it out into the backs. Little mismove there. Giolkos still going. Helgren gets in there and support. It's decent handling, a little predictable, and Harlequins are managing to pick up and spot exactly where it's going, but we're going to be returning for a penalty. And Harlequins, whose discipline has been poor so far in this game, potentially to be punished again. Callum Howard signalling the penalty down in the corner. And what will the decision be? They scored from a scrum from this sort of position. Is Chamberlain going to go for the corner, and they're going to go to their strength, which is the line out?
Yeah, it's quite clear the intent is to win the line out and maul the ball and try and get over the line. And Mignon throwing in and then getting on the back of that maul. She's a little bull terrier when it comes to rolling mauls.
Some concerned looks on the faces of those Quins fans packed in at the stands. It goes towards the front of the line out once again. A good challenge on the line out from Greenslade, spoiling the ball from Hobday, but Richmond come up with it once again, and the runner this time is Becky Ball, and she's driven up to just a couple of metres shy of the line. Quick ball once again. Capo wibbles round one, is unable to avoid the second tackler, but Keane keeping them mobilised, keeping it fast, and this time Phelps doesn't take it on the crash ball, feeds it back inside. Richmond retain possession and now managed to slip it out wide, where the try scorer Vic Britland's on the end of it. Good defence so far from Quins, but looks like a matter of time before an overlap's created. Good tackle again as Becky Ball joins in. The counter-rucking needs to come in from Quins. Richmond needed a little bit of extra numbers there, and they got them in the end. Giolkos with the outside arm. And the referee is going to come back for another penalty. And Quins have got to be careful here, because this is why Fee Fletcher's being called in. I should imagine a yellow card isn't far away.
Harlequins need to get their house in order by all accounts around the breakdown, because this many penalties within 21 minutes of the first half is quite sort of careless and just not acceptable. So Richmond are really capitalising.
Capo taps and goes herself, drives up towards the line. Has she managed to ground it on the line? The answer's yes. And Richmond have their second try. It is a dream start for the visitors.
Laura Capo, you know, she's played centre, inside and out. She's played all over the pitch, but she is an absolute powerhouse. She's quick, she's low centre of gravity, and that kind of try, penalty for her all day long, she's always going to score. That's a great work try by Richmond. They are capitalising on Harlequins' error, Harlequins' discipline, and there you go, 10 points down, 22 minutes in.
And Abby Chamberlain has just converted as well to make the score 12-0. So the extras added to that Capo try. And Richmond continuing to ride the crest of a wave that they've enjoyed for the last couple of months, really, in 2018. Just the losses against Gloucester Hartpury and Saracens. Here, Quins expected to come out on top. They need to come out on top if they want to stand any chance of finishing top of the league. A win here would have secured a home semi-final in the playoffs, and Bree Hill with a disastrous restart, which means straight away Richmond back onto the front foot.
Yeah, Harlequins are really unsettled. Bree just needs to take a deep breath. She needs to get herself composed and get some runners in behind her and just play hard-hitting rugby to set a platform to then allow our wingers like Jessica Breach, Holly Myers, take the ball on out wide, 1v1 against Richmond, and that's how we will score our points. At the moment, we're playing into their hands. We're trying to have a fight and a battle against the breakdown, and unfortunately we're losing out because our discipline isn't good enough, and Richmond are capitalising on that. We need to just take a deep breath, know our strengths and play to them.
Really good channeled ball there from Richmond from the scrum. They knew they were in trouble, and try scorer at their opening try, Vic Britland, makes her way over the gain line, looking back inside, and the Richmond players are just playing with a little more confidence than they started with. They're enjoying possession, they're enjoying territory, but they are on this occasion not enjoying the rub of the green as far as the referee's concerned, and it's taken quickly by Chloe Edwards. Chance there for Jess Breach to get onto the ball, champing at the bit to get going here. Quins continue to make a little bit of progress, but Chloe Edwards loses it forward, and there will be a scrummage coming to Richmond. And it's those sort of moments at the moment that really define the Harlequins' performance.
Yeah, Richmond have got the momentum, and Chloe Edwards had great intent there. She wanted to try and get the speed of the Harlequins game up by taking a quick penalty, but you know, you need to have everyone on board with that decision, and it just causes a forced error in a situation in the middle of the pitch where Richmond again have a great attacking platform. They'll keep it up the jumper and they'll make a good hard yards, and again putting Harlequins on the back foot in terms of momentum.
How much of a difference will it be for many of these players to be experiencing this sort of atmosphere, hearing this many voices shouting them on? I mean, do you shut it out, or is it going to be very different for a lot of them?
I think for all the athletes out there today, this is the start of the future. You know, it's an exciting place to be. Tyrrells Premiership has absolutely come into its own this season, and people are getting behind the women's game. So I don't think individually people will be daunted by this crowd. I think it'll be exciting and electrical.
Well, at the moment, the team channeling all of the current are Richmond. Ball out into the backs once again. Good hands. Chamberlain delays that pass and gets it out wide to Lakatabua. She manages to ride the first challenge, back up onto her feet and over the 10-metre line. Keane is there. Feeds it back inside. Lovely lines of running have been used by Becky Ball as she tries to punch holes around the ruck. Tackle made by Bree Hill, and it went forwards as a consequence of the hands of Charkeen. And so it's going to be a scrummage to Quins, but great handling in the middle of the part there, and lovely pass out from Chamberlain.
Yeah, Abby Chamberlain using her experience there and just timing that pass just fractionally to make sure that Holly Myers is at the forefront of that truck of a winger coming up the wing, and absolutely obliterated her.
Yeah, Holly Myers certainly felt the full force on that occasion. Keane is having an outstanding game at 9 at the moment for Richmond, but it is her opposite number who has the put in, Bobby Hayward. Sets it back to Bree Hill. Myers immediately back into the action, into the midfield, and it's an exciting midfield that Quins have got as well. Ball making its way up to the 10-metre line. Hayward, Hill. Ashley Greenslade is chopped down, but Quins will look to move it again, and this is first time. Great play. Bixton to Catlin. Catlin up towards the 10-metre line. Finally brought down, looking for support. Shauna Brown was there. That's the position you'd expect her to be, but Richmond have been outstanding in stopping her going, and the ball goes forward. And just when that momentum was starting to be built for Harlequins, a little unforced error, and they find themselves once again without the ball.
Yeah, that was a great ball by Hill there. Straight on to the Fee Pocock, and Fee Pocock taking on the outside backs one-on-one and getting beyond that sort of attacking gain line. So that's great play from Harlequins. Now they just need to capitalise this set piece, try and win it against the head, and keep on this bit of momentum and keep on penetrating out wide, because that's where they're going to find themselves successful, rather than sticking it up the jumper and trying to take Richmond head on, which isn't working at the moment.
Bit of treatment being received here down the field of play that gives the players probably a welcome break after the opening 25 minutes or so.
Richmond have been working really hard on their strength and conditioning programme since before pre-season, so seeing how they're playing and seeing that they're wanting to take the ball up front, playing to their strengths, you know, that ultimate fitness that they've been working on is paying dividends, and they'll be really proud of that, and they'll be wanting to continue that through this game, really taking the game to Harlequins up front in a real battle. Harlequins now have to make sure defensively. You've got Stacey White there. She is very comfortable in her defensive role as 12. She needs to take the line up with Fee Pocock outside her, and they just need to absolutely dominate that defensive line and try and force the errors for Richmond. And in the attacking setup, first phase ball, let's get it out wide. Let's give Holly Myers, Fee Pocock, Jess Breach some opportunities one-on-one out wide.
First of all, Quins need to get the ball back, and they have shoved Richmond with ease in the set scrum, but at the same time, Libby Povey has dealt with it. Further once again, and it's this time Vestman who manages to bring it back into contact. Box kick. Bobby Hayward was underneath it. There was a loud call from both her and Breach, and in the end Hayward took it, but she took the full momentum of the on-rushing Richmond defence as well. So there's no one there to play 9 for Quins. They need to keep it tight, and they look to punch a few holes up the middle. Second time going with Chloe Edwards. Driven across field, and that unrelenting defensive wall that Richmond have put up continues to not be breached. Taken quickly though. Quins set the ball going, and this is Breach managing to fight forward. Carried about 3 or 4 defenders with her. If they can get quick ball here, Quins have the chance to move it to the other side of the pitch where they've got numbers. Catlin moves it. She's got Shauna Brown with her. The advantage is coming Quins' way. They will have the penalty. Shauna Brown wants to take this quickly and go. Sets off, looks up for support, manages to shrug off a couple of tacklers, finally brought down, and Quins, for the first time in the game, make a proper inroad into Richmond's 22. Hayward waits for it. Here goes Hill, pop back inside to Catlin. Just manages to take the pass. Patience needs to be employed. Bree Hill, one-handed, manages to retain possession once again and sets it well. That could have easily gone the other way. That's the way the defensive line is waiting for them. So Quins, split line of attack. Hayward goes to the slightly shorter side as it's carried forward there by Ashley Greenslade. There aren't any unforced errors coming at the moment as Hayward ducks and dives her way. Up to the gain line once again. Ball is picked up, driven on, just another couple of yards. Another pick and go, this time from Edwards, and the momentum this time is with Harlequins, and the crowd can sense it as well. Ball slow, but through the middle. It's set again. Another pick and go from Harlequins, just a couple of metres shy of the line. Hayward trying to signal that she really wants the ball this time. Flicks it out. And it was knocked forward on the ground by a Harlequins hand, and Richmond have survived.
That's a lot better from Harlequins. They'll be pleased with that passage of play. Hayward, credit to her. She's read the natural momentum of the game and she's played it with her forward. She's sniped around the base. She is absolutely trying to get in behind the Richmond defensive line, and she's done that really well. She's orchestrating the feel of the game and she's making sure that the forwards are with her, and they've made some inroads into Richmond's 22. They now need to pressure this set piece, and let's try and get clean, quick ball to the backs and see if we can get a score.
All started, as we just saw, from that Shauna Brown run from the tap penalty. They made really good ground. That was up around halfway, and they are 5 metres shy of the line. Now, they really do need to get that nudge on. Ball is healed well. Another number 8 pick up. So much work for Libby Povey to do, and she's driven back across the line. Richmond on the line, send it back, and Chamberlain has managed to find a very good touch indeed from that position.
That's exactly what Harlequins would have said to themselves once they've got into that position. Okay, let's pressure their set piece, let's pressure the scrum. We're stronger, we're bigger, we're more confident in that set piece, let's do that. And that's the kind of mindset they need to carry on now and not let the game go out of this 22. Put pressure on Richmond, make sure that they're forcing errors like Richmond were doing to Harlequins not 5 minutes ago, and let's keep in this 22 and keep the pressure on.
How important is it for Harlequins to come away with some points in the next 5 minutes?
I think it will definitely pay a massive influence to the momentum of the game if they come away with some points in this next couple of minutes. It'll be integral.
And they've managed to win their line out, and the ball is now carried forwards by Greenslade. Forwards keeping it tight, but also managing to make some ground at the same time. Another pick and go. Here goes Shauna Brown, bulldozing her way through 3 tacklers and managing to get up to 5 metres shy of the line. Really good progress made by the blindside flanker. They go again, keeping it tight, being held up just short at this stage. Another pick and go. Swedish international Tove Viksten not quite able to get over the line. Hayward darts for the line and scores. Harlequins back in it, and they return with some points from their first sustained period of pressure.
Harlequins taking the game back to a real basic standard. Pick and go, pick and go, pick and go, making the hard yards, a bit like what Richmond were doing 10 minutes before. And Hayward, very calm and collected at the back of the base of the ruck, looks up, sees a little gap, and like all scrum halves, goes for that gap and scores. That's a great try, well worked by Richmond Harlequins forwards there, and that is a great score going into this third of the first half.
Not a bad showing from Bobby Hayward so far. Chatting to Gary Street about how he was saying that she's a 10 that currently trying to mould into a 9. Well, she's pretty much looked like a 9 today.
Yeah, I think both 9 and 10 do hold a lot of common core skills, and I think her ability to orchestrate a game coming from a 10 position has played an integral part as a 9 here.
Extras added, so Quins have 7 on the board and trail by just 5. Jess Wooden with the kick. She goes 1 from 1. And after all of that hard work, all of that hard effort put in by Richmond in the opening 35 minutes of this game, 1 score from Harlequins. makes it a very tight encounter indeed. And Richmond know they've got a lot more work to do if they're going to come away from the Stoop with a win. Abby Chamberlain gets us back underway. Loud call for the ball from Vixton, and she manages to carry it forth. Hayward, who will be buzzing from scoring that try here in front of all of this crowd. Ball is kicked forward a bit untidily. Hayward sets it again. Vixton, great work to keep that alive. It's knocked forwards and knocked backwards. Obviously not forwards off either a Richmond or Quinn's hand because the referee waves play on. Ball's to the left. Chloe Edwards goes in there, and she was quickly in there to try and turn that over. She was supporting her own weight, and the penalty goes the way of Quinns. And there she is again, straight into the line. Massive tackle put in on Greenslade, but Quinns firing on all cylinders at the moment. Lovely flat pass and a bit of space here to be exploited. Lovely lines of running from White. Brought down in the end. 10 metres outside of the 22. Hayward was looking to release it out wide to just breach, and then the handling this time goes loose from Greenslade and can be returned out wide to Lakatabur. Shauna Brown trying to rip it away. That's really good from Rachel Lakatabur to retain possession there. Little pop pass into Becky Ball. And then the maul is formed, and now Harlequins will want to try and keep that up, but Richmond successfully getting the ball to ground. However, they haven't managed to get it back, and the result is a Harlequin scrum.
Yes, you just wonder if Stacey White, she made a great initial break there down the middle of the pitch, whether she should have just released fractionally early to give it to Fee Pocock, who was just outside of her, and maybe that could have been a try-scoring opportunity that's gone amiss. But great leg drive there by Stacey.
Well, there was the ball lost forward, but the advantage was played, and then Quinns came up with the ball. Well, they didn't come up with the ball, but they prevented Richmond coming back with the ball after a maul had been formed, and that meant Harlequins have the put in here. Yes, just taking a look at that break from Stacey White. She could have just managed to get the pass away fractionally before Abby Chamberlain made the tackle, then who knows what could have happened. As it is, Quinns have the ball. Hayward sent it into Bree to Myers, and a first chance for her perhaps to stretch her legs, and lovely line of running once again to open up that Richmond defence. And now Hayward ships it out wide. Bree Hill was there, and Breach, can she get round the outside? Can't quite wriggle free of the covering defenders. Great work from Richmond. The ball has not gone into touch, but Richmond have managed to turn it over. Managing to fight forward there with Vic Britland. And Keane hoists it up in the air. Breach, now she's got the whole pitch open to her. Wooden inside. Myers. Ball comes across eventually to her. Ball back inside from Fee Pocock. Becoming more and more involved, and those Quinns backs are getting a little more of the ball, which will please them. It'll please the crowd, and it'll please their coaching staff as well. The ball being rolled away, but Harlequins will have the put in again.
Harlequins have done really well there. Their intent, you can see their intent has changed, and the momentum of this game is slightly shifting in favour of Harlequins. Their attacking tempo is a lot more apparent, and you can see it's lung busting out there. Everyone's got sort of breathing in the air, and Harlequins just need to make sure they keep taking on Richmond one-on-one outside the backs channel, and then bit by bit making their way up the pitch, which they're doing really nicely. You can see the confidence in the Harlequins backs has absolutely transformed from 10 minutes ago.
As a consequence, Quinns won't be wanting the half-time whistle to go with the way that things have progressed. Unfortunately for them, we're pretty much at the interval, and I think Richmond will be mightily relieved when that whistle does eventually go. They'll be mightily relieved if they can get there with this 5-point advantage as things stand. You wouldn't bet against Quinn scoring another try before the interval. They have the put in from this scrum. Neatly heeled ball for Fletcher. Hayward wanted it quickly, gets it out to Hill, sends it into midfield once again, and ball back inside to Myers. It was a move off the training ground which didn't quite come off. Hayward can move it again. Great tackle put in there Been some huge hits put in by Becky Ball throughout this first half, and that was another of them on Greenslade. And as a consequence, Richmond come up with the ball, and can they finish on the high? Ball shifted down that short side, and Phelps, who has been rather anonymous for the last 20 minutes or so after an explosive opening quarter, manages to keep Richmond on the front foot. And here comes Ball, tackle from Greenslade. Harlequins looking to try and turn it back over. Capo, scorer of the second try. Well tackled by Greenslade again. Ball flicked down the line. Britland manages to hold off the first tackle, but then can't get it away from Vixton. Still wrestling for that ball. Richmond have done well to get that back. There goes Keane. Keane to Phelps. Lost forward, and then opportunity very, very nearly suddenly opened up there for Harlequins. But they still have the ball, and they decide to keep it tight. That ball lost in the tackle and then clawed back before being lost again, this time forwards. The referee takes a look at his watch and decides that that's enough for the first half. Well, it's certainly been entertaining. It has been a gritty performance from both sides. Richmond coming here with a game plan that they have executed wonderfully for around 25 minutes. Quins finding a way back in the last quarter of an hour.
Yeah, it's been an interesting half. I think a lot will be said in the Harlequins changing room. They're going to be questioning their defensive structures. They're going to be questioning their dominance around the breakdown and what they need to do to fix that.
Well, it was tries from Capo, first from Britland, and then the reply from Hayward. The score at the interval, Harlequins Ladies 7, Richmond 12.
Joining us on the pitch at half-time is Harlequins and Tyrrells Bex or Robert Bex. What did you think of that first half performance? Got better the longer it went on.
Yeah, certainly. I think Richmond came out with guns blazing. They showed a really, really strong defence. They pushed us back. You know, got 2 tries early on. So I think we struggled a bit in the first 20 minutes, but then I think we kind of found our mojo. You know, got back on it. I think the captain of the team, we've had Wood and the girls, and we managed to get ourselves back in the game now. We're only 5 points down, and looking to score a little bit earlier on. I think half time we're really having a good chat about being more aggressive on the defensive line, and just trying to win the battle for everyone.
Big occasion, a big round here today. Do you think nerves played a part early on?
Maybe, you know, because some of the girls are probably the biggest time they've ever played with, so I'm sure that really plays a small part in it, but I think now, you know, now that they've been out in the first half, I think they'll be more relaxed in the second half, but hopefully we'll see a lot more dominance in the match.
What about the Harlequins bench? Who are the players who finishes and make a difference today?
You've got some big strong girls on the bench. You've got Sam McCarthy,
Can we guess it? Finding Nemo. Yes, first one right. That was the easy one, right? Let's get the second one up on the big screen. Oh, come on, this is easy as well. Who's got this one? Snakes on the plane. Are they right? I think they're right. Yeah, they're right. Yes, it was snakes on the plane. Can we make the third one a bit more tricky? Let's find out. Last one coming up on the big screen. Okay, what do you think? The devil wears Prada. Of course it is. Well done, all too easy. There you go, the match score. Congratulations. The emoji game will be returning at some point later on this season, possibly. But thank you so much for playing, and congratulations. And coming back out onto the pitch, it's Harlequins!
Welcome back to the Stoop. A couple of changes from each team here. Natasha Bradshaw coming on for Bree Hill, and we have Samantha McCarthy coming on for Rebecca Smith for Quins. And as far as Richmond are concerned, Sana Westman and Sian Hobday coming off, with Chloe Butler and Jade Wong coming onto the field of play. Butler into the second row, and we'll wait to see whether Jade Wong takes up her position at 9 or 10. Abby Chamberlain will get us back underway. Richmond lead by 12 points to 7. Amy Turner standing alongside me. Amy, what is going to have been said in that Quins dressing room?
Basically coming out all guns blazing. They need to have a really quick, fast tempo, 10 minutes, and really get Richmond on the back foot. That's what would be said, and they need to come out the blocks now.
Ball collected by Chloe Edwards from the restart from Chamberlain. We saw so many big tackles being put in that first half. A nice early touch there for Charlie Willett, who looks as though she's come on as well. Ball set. Back into play. Sorry, Samantha McCarthy, I do beg your pardon. As that ball is driven forwards. Bobby Hayward. Nice ball back inside, and immediately McCarthy with a couple of big carries. Out into the backs, and it's Jessica Wooden who's come up to play at 10. Hayward under pressure there. That has to be tidied up. Harlequins stepping onto that front foot, managing to drive up towards the 10-metre line. Shauna Brown waiting for the ball. That pop pass from Hayward allows Brown to carry a couple of defenders with her. Looking to turn it over. Richmond do succeed in slowing that ball down. Nice ball back inside to McCarthy. Third carry already from the replacement. Wooden sets it once again. It's driven forwards up towards halfway. So far, Quins have managed to start quite explosively, and Hayward saw a little gap and darts through it. Eventually snagged back and brought to ground just on halfway, but Shauna Brown comes in, picks up the ball, drives forward, but she has been very well marshalled so far by Richmond. The sun comes out at the Stoop. Quins look to shift the ball to Greenslade. An early touch for Bradshaw, her first so far. Hayward to the short side, just can't quite release the ball as the tackle comes in. Richmond having to make those tackles. Wooden looked to have to try and ride the challenge, and it was very quick from Chloe Butler to get up to that line and make the tackle. Hayward, McCarthy needs to go up that #1 channel and get over halfway. Carried on by Tova Vixton. And now goes Shauna Brown. Tackled, rolls over, manages to get the ball back again. Hayward to Wooden. Ball sent into the midfield where Jess Breach was waiting for it. Just didn't get any opportunities in that first half to run with the ball in any form of space, and Richmond looking to counter-ruck this. Eventually it should come back Harlequins side, but it's very slow ball once again, and Harlequins having to try and move it. That was a great offload, perhaps slightly unsympathetic to Shauna Brown, but it was the right sort of idea from McCarthy. And it comes to a standstill with Richmond getting the put in from the scrum. But we've seen some decent handling so far from Harlequins, and Samantha McCarthy's had a real impact.
Yes, McCarthy will want to make the first 10 minutes, make a real impact. She's a strong girl. She's been working really hard to get fit after her ankle operation, so she'll want to get out there and make inroads against Richmond.
I think I was being a little generous to Sam McCarthy and a little ungenerous there to Shauna Brown when I said it was a brilliant offload. Straight into the face, not exactly what you want, but it was the right idea. Yeah,
the intent Harlequins come out with second half is quite clear. They want to play a quick tempo. They want to put pressures on Richmond. Richmond, again, their intent is to be annoying around the breakdown, causing Harlequins problems. You can see Phelps very much trying to get in on the 9 to stop that quick ball, and you see Becky Ball coming in to hit that 10 to pressure that ball going out wide. And it's clever by Richmond, but Harlequins need to see the momentum that they've gained and take that forward into the Richmond half.
Shauna Brown just in shot there a moment ago. Nearly twice the amount of tackles and twice the amount of carries as any other player in the Harlequins team, but she will make the tackle there. The second time of asking on Sharkeen. An outstanding first half from the Richmond scrum half. Ball picked up by Hayward, and she manages to dodge around the initial tackle before being brought to ground by the replacement Butler. Penalty won by Harlequins, and they will look to use this quickly. Thought for a second there that Chloe Edwards was going to kick it down to touch, but she thinks better of that. Jessica Wooden finds the touch. Harlequins have their line-out ball here, just past the 10-metre line. They're looking to build up a form of momentum, which has been stifled by Richmond throughout much of this game so far. Ball to the back of the line, picked up and fed off to Shauna Brown, who finds Greenslane in the meantime. Driven forwards, and a penalty comes offside given against Libby Povey and taken quickly by Quins, and the ball shipped down the line into the 22, set quickly again. Good progress made by Stacey White before it's fed back, and McCarthy manages to offload once again and then lost forwards just when they were managing to build up that momentum. Great tackle flying in there from Fee Pocock. And Quins come back up with the ball, and Shauna Brown has it. Shauna Brown towards the line. Held up just shy. Quins have the advantage coming here. Chloe Edwards takes it, drives over and grounds the ball. And Harlequins are back on level terms, and the explosive start that Amy Turner suggested that they would want has happened.
Yeah, it's clear that they wanted a clear intent to come out second half and put the game towards them, make sure that they put it towards Richmond, put them under pressure, created opportunities to take it forward, and they've done that. That's a great score for Chloe Edwards. It was calm, composed. Hayward's been doing great at the base of the rucks, and Richmond just haven't been able to live with it, which is exactly what Karen Finley and Gary Street would have been saying in that changing room at half-time.
Jessica Wooden, 1 from 1 in the match so far. This opportunity to nudge Harlequins into the lead. She succeeds. 100% record from the kicking tee for Jessica Wooden, who's playing at 10 in spite of wearing the 15 shirt in this second half. And these home fans, the majority of the fans who packed in here to watch this game today, finally given something to smile about.
Yeah, this is exactly where Harlequins want to be now. They want to build on this and make sure that they continue with this tempo that they're playing with.
Abby Chamberlain with a good hanging restart there, which Shauna Brown was waiting for, and she lost slightly forwards, and so scrummage to Richmond. Exactly the start that they wanted from the kickoff, and what we've seen so far, in spite of that slight knock forward from Shauna Brown, is she's becoming more involved in the game. Exactly what Harlequins would have wanted.
Yeah, and obviously you've got McCarthy that's come on and then making a great impact, so that's going to feed into Shauna and re-energise her, which is great to see. But all the substitutions that have come on from Richmond and Harlequins have made a great impact into this second half.
Yeah, slightly loose ball there for Wong. It wasn't a great pass from Joaquin, going slightly behind her, and it puts Richmond on the back foot, and Harlequins really stepping up and managing to make those hits as well. And even when Richmond have got the ball in hand so far in this second half, they spent the majority of the time going backwards. Wooden with the tackle there on Capo, who scored Richmond's second try, which at that time put them 12-0 up. It hasn't quite been one-way traffic since Richmond's second try, but Harlequins certainly have been in the ascendancy, and they've dominated the second half so far. Chip through from Chamberlain. Jess Breach slides through one tackle, still going up towards halfway. An important tackle made, but Breach managed to get back up, pick the ball up. Good hands used into the midfield to Shauna Brown. Sucks in 3 defenders with her. Across comes Bobby Hayward. Releases it again. Wooden steps through one, takes it back inside. Richmond looking slightly vulnerable on their inside channel, committing too many defenders out wide, and Harlequins starting to sense that that could be where they can make some real ground and cause real damage as well. Greenslade steps over one and keeps that going forward. Shauna Brown picks up and drives forwards before being repelled. Chloe Butler trying to rip it away from her, but Brown manages to keep going forwards, and the referee is going to take a pause in play with a player down, 2 players down at the moment. And here is Jess Breach's run, and many people have certainly paid to come and see her get up a full head of steam, and as of yet they haven't really managed to release her and create enough space. I mean, such a wonderful future ahead of her. Not a bad debut for England either.
No, she's had a fantastic year, and she's full of confidence. She's had some time in with England Sevens. She's also been capped, and she's now looking to sort of well and truly affirm her place in this Harlequin side, and she's doing that well. Unfortunately, she hasn't had the opportunities perhaps that she deserves out there today, but let's hope going into the second half we see a bit more of her. The game's been transformed since Wooden's gone to 10. It's just created a momentum at the backs have been released a lot more, so it's exciting rugby to see.
Looks to me as well as though Wooden's sitting slightly deeper than we saw Bree Hill do in that first half as well.
Yeah, absolutely, which obviously means they're looking to sort of really penetrate the back line, coming from depth, making sure they're hitting the corners of defence, which what I've seen so far in this second half, they've done that really well.
Touch is found by Abby Chamberlain, and it'll be Richmond's ball at the line-out. So much effort, so much energy expelled by the Richmond players in that first half. It's just going to be very interesting to see whether they can sustain it for the majority of this second half. Gaël Mignot, the French international, comes over to the near side for this line-out ball that will be going presumably either to Butler or, on that occasion, Harlequins, as the ball is slightly knocked forward and then picked up, and Hayward looks to break down that short side. He had support from Caitlin and Bradshaw, but in the end couldn't get the ball away. Harlequins keep it tight, and it's carried forward by their Swede, Tove Viksten, and then carried on again by try scorer Chloe Edwards. Score of that try in this second half, which has resulted in Harlequins taking the lead. Butler flying in once again, and that ball goes loose, picked up, carried forward, this time by Zoe Barber. Harlequins tackles just been that more damaging in this second half so far. And we'll come back though for a knock forward from Harlequins, and it's going to be a Richmond put in. But it's noticeable, Amy, in this second half, when Richmond have had the ball, they haven't been making any ground whatsoever.
Yeah, the line speed from the Harlequins defence through phase play has vastly improved, and that's why we're able to keep Richmond pinned back in their half. Abby Chamberlain, boot to ball, not really making the metres that she's intending, has put Richmond under pressure. So Harlequins have dealt with the breakdowns, they've dealt with their speed in the defensive line, and it's showing that it's by the pressure put on Richmond.
Ball comes to this near side, little feed off the back of the hand. It was a lovely effort there from Emily Heldren, but the linesman's flag had gone up. Quins to have the line out. On this particular facet of the game, Harlequins have been very strong, but it's a blustery wind that is blowing around the stoop at the moment. Towards the front of the line, spoilt well by Butler. And then the boot comes in from Davina Catlin, and it goes out into touch.
Fee Fletcher will be marshalling these line-outs, very disciplined, very precise in what she calls, so she'll be making sure that the Harlequins forwards keep Richmond's defence on their toes when it comes to line-outs.
Ashley Greenslade unable to come up with the ball on that last one. Zoe Sainer goes to the back of the line. Richmond have the ball, and it's well won by Butler, who's been disruptive when Harlequins have had the ball and has managed to come up with the ball there, and she's been very busy since her introduction in this second half. Richmond come down the short side. Chamberlain, nice line of running there, bringing the ball back into play from Zoe Barber once again. They get up over the 10-metre line. Fed out for a chance here to stride into the space, and it was a great offload. Brilliant play there from Becky Ball. Equally good support. Richmond shifted again, looking to try and move it out wide. A fantastic pickup, but just going forward from Vic Britland. And that means the scrummage to Harlequins, but a little bit more enterprise being shown here by Richmond. Lovely offload and a brilliant pickup as well, as they managed to keep the momentum going. Butler, who's been everywhere, over the ball, and then Britland managing to make her way along the line. It was a fantastic pickup by Jolkos, but it just went forwards. But that's the sort of play that Richmond are going to have to come up with to break through Quins now.
Richmond are absolutely trying things, perhaps on the cusp of not being in their comfort zone, but they're trying things. They're playing with a positive intent. Becky Ball, naturally a winger, moved to flanker not so long ago. That's real good intent.
Shauna Brown on the rumble. Brought down once, gets up and goes again. Up over that 10-metre line. Wooden was hit quite hard. It goes loose. Needs to be recovered here. And Richmond are the team that pile in on the ball, and that's brilliantly won. Chance for them to perhaps make some ground, and out the back of the hand, Jolkos. Referee spots the forward. Bit of play there, and they will have to come back. Harlequins will get the put in.
Mignot there showing her character. She's feisty little bull terrier of a player. If she can get in and be physical and wind players up, she'll absolutely do that. So Davina Catlin against her in the front row is quite an even match, and you can see that emotions are running high out there.
Really good hit from Britland to stop that passage of play, and it was Abby Chamberlain who got in on the ball. But then it just was spilt forwards on halfway then. Harlequins, who've looked stronger in the set, and the ball picked up at the back there and carried forward by Samantha McCarthy. Just for a moment there, caught in two minds, Bobby Hayward, and a particular bit of momentum sucked out of Quinn's play, but now she gets it across to Wooden, and then into the line comes Bradshaw, took that nicely. but still only able to get up to the gain line, and it's a little reminiscent of those opening 20 minutes when Harlequins weren't quite able to unlock the Richmond defence, and Richmond are growing in stature, having looked as though Quins were going to completely take over when they moved into the lead by 2. Richmond showing really good character and excellent fitness to come firing back. Quins could do with some phases of play where they get on the front foot, because at the moment they're heading backwards. Shauna Brown takes it up that short side, but she's hit fast and clean by those Richmond defenders and brought to ground without really making any ground at all herself. Wooden into midfield for McCarthy. Great tackle coming from Britland. Out again. Here goes Jess Breach, manages to find Bradshaw. Good tackle on the replacement winger. Greenslade gets through, Capo makes the tackle. Now Quins managed to get onto the front foot, but Capo with some wonderful counter-rucking, and Richmond win the ball back. Jade Wong coming through, picks it up. They have to wait for Charkeen, and then Butler loses it forwards just when Richmond had managed to get themselves in a really good place, but Greenslade looks in a spot of bother. But great play here from Capo, makes the tackle and then comes counter-rucking, driving through, and that allowed for the turnover. And well, as far as momentum goes, very much with Richmond at the moment.
Laura Capo showing her experience there. Noticed Filippo Pot coming over the ball, roughing over. I'm stronger, I'm a forward, I can counteract that. It's exactly what she's done. She's capitalised on an opportunity. Harlequins just being a bit skinny out wide at that ruck, and she's caused a fantastic turnover. And again, it just makes a very apparent shift in the momentum. Harlequins again need to settle a little bit.
Fantastic crowd. Going to be a record for a British club rugby game. At the moment, a couple of Quins players walking up on the near side, being encouraged by the crowd. Some good hits being put in there.
It's quite clear, you can see in their phase play, if you watch Becky Ball and you watch Butler that's just come on, they're categorically targeting 10-12 and looking to pressurise that ball going out wide to the Harlequins attack. And that's where Harlequins need to look up and see that they're pincering in that defensive style and go in behind them, get some sort of out the back passes, releasing Bradshaw, releasing Breach, and getting into that 13 channel.
Bobby Hayward is back up on her feet after taking a bit of a knock there. Quins 14, Richmond 12. The final quarter of the game has begun. A good nudge to put pressure on there, and Keane finds herself in all sorts of trouble. Through comes Shauna Brown, looking to rip that ball away and turn it over for Harlequins, but the referee penalises Brown, and then Shauna Brown unable to get away or get herself untangled from the ball, and as a consequence cedes another 10 metres. Ill discipline costing Harlequins there, and this is a very good opportunity for Abby Chamberlain to kick down into the corner and for Richmond to just build a little bit of pressure themselves.
Shauna Brown will be disappointed with that. She needed to get up, present the ball for Richmond so that they can play what they need to play. That's just 10 metres not needed.
But then a bit of a let-off there, because Abby Chamberlain has missed the touch. Jess Breach touches down. It'll be a 22 dropout here for Quins, and well, that is disappointing from the visiting team.
Very fortunate for Harlequins, though.
Wooden's restart. Charkeen comes up with it and has support from Povey to get some forward momentum going for the visiting team, as they once again will try and attack. Wong pass into Britland was perhaps not sympathetic, but they really sharp hands out wide there from the visiting backs, and they managed to make another 10 metres before it comes back to Charkeen once again. Out the back of the hand of Capo, that went forwards, and Quins will look to turn it over. Well, the advantage obviously has been played, and the referee decided it didn't go forwards because Richmond come back up with the ball. Carried forward once again. Becky Ball has been tireless in her carries, and Butler, who has really looked to inject something a little bit different into Richmond's play around the fringes, but she hasn't released that one. Shauna Brown in very quickly indeed, and the turnover is won, and this time it's Richmond who give away the 10 metres, so both sides guilty of a little bit of impetuous ill-discipline.
I think that's a London derby for you. Emotions running high. Harlequins have done well to get that ball back and hopefully get into Richmond's half.
Touch is not found, and Helgren can feed it back inside. Abby Chamberlain, really good presence of mind there, managed to keep the ball alive, but she trips over, as does Bobby Hayward, but she has support from Jess Breach. Hayward looking for a gap to run into. Helgren was up to make the tackle. The pick up from Greenslade, and she carries it forward well with real purpose there. The open side flanker making some good ground. Picked up now by Zoe Sainer. She manages to get them up to just past halfway. Shauna Brown with a pick and go again. Another great carry. The momentum firmly with Quins once again, but they need to get this ball set and back. Sainer waits for it. Tackle put in on her is an excellent one. No ground whatsoever made. Another pick and go, this time from McCarthy. The attempt to rip that ball away from her, made by Claire Phelps, but she hasn't come up with it. And the try scorer, Chloe Edwards, powers through. Quins realise they need a few extra numbers, and there is Greenslade waiting. That was the Richmond defence. Harlequins will have it again. Hayward picked up well by Wooden, and then she saw a little gap. Brilliant break from Wooden. Needs to look up and see her supporting players. Wooden manages to get it out the back of the hand, but then it's Gelminho who comes up with it as it all went a bit loose. And the knock forward is what they come back for. Well, a class piece of play from Jess Wooden.
Yeah, Jess Wooden looked up, saw Anna Butler in front of her, had a little show and go and made some great ground. It's just this last bit of play where Harlequins need to smarten up and realise that playing an extra phase is okay, but you're just allowing Richmond to get into that game, and Mignon did really well there.
Stacey White was the player who needed to be used, I feel, there. As a couple of changes have been made. Alex Studnek coming on for Richmond, and the replacement in the front row as well for Harlequins.
Alicia Dee's coming on, so she'll make a massive presence in the scrums. She's a strong girl, she's got experience, she's good in the loose, coming back from a knee injury, so it'd be good to see what she can do in this last sort of 15 minutes of play.
Well, the Harlequins have been pretty dominant in the set so far. And bringing on a player like Alicia Dee is only going to assist you in that scenario.
Yeah, there's no stopping Alicia Dee 5 metres out from a try line. It's virtually impossible. So if she can get herself around, get herself in the loose, get herself in a position where Hayward can see her and offer herself as a runner, it's going to be really positive gains for Harlequins.
Immediate impact there, driving forwards, and once again, so much work being left to Libby Povey to do from the number 8 pickup, but she does it well. Keane calling players in. Richmond need to try and get this away, but they need to do it in an orderly fashion because they are under pressure. Kick comes in, and Abby Chamberlain once again succeeds in finding the touch.
Again, a little bit of a short kick there for Abby Chamberlain. I'm not sure she'll be 100% happy with that, but at least she's cleared her lines and given that Richmond that relief. But Harlequins are still in a great attacking position and playing to their strength, which is first phase, off a line out, releasing the backs into Richmond back line, which is where we want to be as Harlequins.
Charlie Willett makes her way on to the field of play. So So another change made for Richmond, and line-out ball taken by Fletcher, and it's licked off the top of the line, and Shauna Brown in midfield manages to feed that ball back inside to Sam McCarthy, up towards the edge of the 22. That was a neatly worked move from Harlequins, and it's got them very much on the front foot. Chloe Edwards tries to get that little offload away. Mignot is coming through. Here comes Jess Breach, and the roar goes up immediately in the Stoop as she comes up with the ball. But it was knocked on by Richmond, so we're going to come back for a Quins put-in just outside the 22. Still a very promising position for the home team.
Yeah, Edwards caught a bit flat there and then looking to offload fractionally late, which put Harlequins under pressure. Mignot have a little dink through, see what comes of it. Lucky for us, Harlequins get that put in.
So Samantha McCarthy losing a contact lens. As we take a look back at exactly how Harlequins have managed to put themselves into the lead here. They were trailing 12-0 when Bobby Hayward went over the line, scoring that try to bring them right back into it, and then the second try scored by Harlequins came in this second half. Both of them were converted by Jess Wooden. The second one scored by Chloe Edwards. So Harlequins with 2 tries. Richmond with 2 tries in the first half. Vic Britland and Laura Capo the scorers for them. But at the moment it is one more conversion courtesy of the boot of Wooden that separates these two teams. Harlequins have been in the ascendancy for much of this second half. We have just over 12 minutes remaining here at the Stoop. Quins leading by 2. Ball heeled back there to Sam McCarthy, who manages to break off the back, but he's very quickly tackled, brought to ground, and Hayward now will put it out into midfield where Alicia D gets her first touch in open play, eventually brought to ground. Plenty of players on this near side if it's shifted quickly. Here goes Jess Breach, and she got the room to get round the outside. Very good tackle from Helgren. Prevents her getting away, and after dominating Richmond with those 4 tries in the return fixture earlier on this season, you have to say Richmond have properly done their homework on how to shut down Jess Breach this afternoon.
Yeah, Jess Breach didn't really have an awful lot of options there. If I'm honest, I think Catlin probably could have taken it on, created a phase and created more of a dominant corner going round to that blind side. However, you know, she was asked to do a lot in a small space, so unfortunate for us we've lost that in the Jess getting hit into touch, unfortunately, but it's a hard position to be in to come out fruitful. Richmond have done really well in defending Harlequins for the last 5-10 minutes, considering that we're in their half. So Richmond are soaking up a lot of pressure, but they are going to have lost Phelps, which we'll see how that affects them.
Ball taken by Butler in the line-out. They need to spend some time down in Harlequins territory if they're going to come away with anything from this game. Charlie Willett with the carry there, and it comes back and immediately driven forwards and no way through for Libby Povey. Tackled well by Davina Ketlin. Gail Mignot has done so well, but the ball is ripped away from her, stripped away, and then turned over by Harlequins. And this is a very good position for them to have the ball, but the referee has seen a knock forward from a Quins player, and so we will have the put-in at the scrummage. Not that that's much of an advantage now to Richmond.
Harlequins would like to thank all of you for making history here in the Stoop today as part of the biggest crowd ever.
And there is the announcement that it is the largest crowd ever at a women's club rugby game. So a little bit of world history created here at the Stoop today, and a sign of things to come. Ball in, and Quins straight onto that front foot, driving forwards. The referee is going to bring them a over, and Harlequins certainly enjoying themselves in the set.
Yeah, Alicia D quite obviously making her presence felt and putting obviously a a massive advantage in terms of body weight against Richmond, and we're sort of driving over them with ease. So Harlequins will be lapping this opportunity to scrum down again with the Richmond pack. Yeah, if you're Richmond, you've got to get that ball out quick. Libby Povey has had a hard day at the office today, but she's dealt with it really well, and she just needs to get that ball out as soon as possible to give Richmond an opportunity to play back into the Harlequins half.
Richmond have been attempting to get very fast Channel 1 ball right the way through this game. Gail Mignot has had a good game as hooker as they step across the pitch once more. Not too long until they make their way over to the far side if we continue at this rate. Into the final 10 minutes here at the Sto. Still Quins leading by 2, and they are also thus far being dominant in the set, and they are enjoying all of the territory. They just haven't been able to build up a cushion, which they would have perhaps expected. Won by 43 points to 5 in the return fixture earlier on this season. This has not been more of the same from Harlequins. They are missing several players, of course, on Six Nations duty, but still would have expected to exert more pressure on Richmond, who have come here and done plenty of simple things very well indeed. Wooden tries to make the tackle there on Povey as she strolls across the field. Richmond sit it. Sharkeen out, and then the clearance kick will not find touch, and Bradshaw does well to control it with the boot and then run into Butler, and she manages to get over the 22. Great strength to get right up there, and here goes Shauna Brown fighting her way through, puts the ball down, goes again, nobody around her to stop her doing it, rather remarkably. This time though, the referee adjudicates that she had to be back on her feet when she scooped that one back up, and she wasn't quite there, and an unnecessary penalty is given away, and Richmond given a chance to clear their lines.
That's a bit of a Shauna Brown trademark, is taking it on, getting to ground, getting up to her feet and picking up the ball again, but she has to be careful once that natural momentum has gone, that she must release and she must get up, otherwise it turns out that she's holding on to the ball, and she'll be really annoyed at that, and she just needs to recognise when it's on and when it's not, and in that occasion it wasn't quite on for her.
Well, she managed it once. It was here at the second time when she released. She should have allowed her forwards to drive over that, because she wasn't quite back and in control of herself on her feet.
That tackle was complete and she needs to release, that's the bottom line.
However, it is something that's borne a lot of fruit this season for her, so it's understandable why she goes for it. Richmond looking to build once again. They need to get themselves up into Quins territory. Well, a couple of rather unsympathetic passes. The second one from Wong going forward, and Quins with excellent pressure, which I should imagine is something that both Gary Street and Karen Finley will be delighted with. The line speed in this second half, we spoke about it earlier, but it's been fantastic, and the pressure's just been exerted all up at this end of the pitch. Yeah,
absolutely. I can imagine Karen Finley has had quite a few stern words with the team in general going into this after the first half. So coming out and seeing such a change in pressure will be something that Harlequins could pride themselves on this half, definitely.
They have the put in from the scrum, and it's a nice pick-up by McCarthy, and Owen then just misses out on bringing Jess Breach in, and it's lost forwards, and it's that cutting edge that has been lacking for Harlequins this afternoon.
Yeah, you could argue it's a little bit of ambition, but not quite the right time. Decision making fractionally out, when to give it and when not. Sometimes, you know, I think we're so desperate to score and get on the outside and get into the corners and give it to our you know, X-factor players like Jess Breach. Sometimes wait till the 5th, 6th phase rather than trying to do it in the 2nd phase, and that has been Harlequins' fundamental problem going into this second half, just forcing it fractionally.
Just a little bit of over-exuberance at times as this ball comes back. The defence has been superb. Stacey White is there making yet another tackle. Richmond looking to get it away. Butler will carry, eventually brought down by Greenslade. Set back again, Abby Chamberlain looks up, looks for the gap to kick into. Now Myers is alongside that one. She feeds it back inside, but Wooden was immediately immersed in yellow, orange and black. Hayward with the ball back to Reach, looking to find a way, keen to be involved but just unable to find a way through at present, as Zoe Sainer carries it up towards that 10-metre line. Shauna Brown drives over it. Going again, Hayward. McCarthy stays on her feet. Shauna Brown, and so well marshalled by those Richmond defenders. Made far less of an impact this afternoon than she has done throughout the rest of the season. Carried again by Chloe Edwards. A pick-up, and this time carried on by Alicia D, but she's well tackled. Here comes Shauna Brown and rides that first challenge. Ball sent back through the hands. Breach needs to get it out. Good acceleration once again. Perhaps that pass should have come from Pocock. Stacey White waiting. Nice hands. Fletcher manages to feed it out to Bradshaw. Bradshaw being bundled towards touch, and in the end driven away, and hurt in the process.
Great play there by Harlequins. Bobby Hayward is having a fantastic game. The fact that she's 18 years old, you know, doesn't count a bit in this sort of pressured environment. Her decision making is calm, collected, and it seems to be on point every time. So she should be really pleased with how she's playing.
Good hands from Breach there to get it into the path of Fiona Pocock. Just slightly broke down there, but once again, when they managed to get back on the front foot, really good play to get it out of Bradshaw, but that's a terrific tackle.
That's great defence by Richmond. They covered the drift really well. Fee Pocock getting on the corner is her strength, so it's good rugby. It's good to see.
Ball carried forward by Zudnik. Chloe Edwards tries to get in the mix and stop anything going forwards. Capo manages to snipe away through a little hole there and make play out of the 22. Shifted quickly, massive hit. Great tackle from Fee Pocock on that occasion. And it sent Richmond backwards. Sidestep around Alicia D, who's unable to do anything about that. But Harlequins are going to have some more defending to do here as Capo leads it forward. Check back inside. Nice rhyme there from Charlie Willett. Support from Mignot. Richmond finally managing to get themselves moving forwards in this second half. Counter up is illegal, and so the penalty will be taken quickly. Off and running from Wong. He goes back inside. Zudek. But again, ball sent along the line. Still, Richmond finding it ever so hard to get past that Quins defensive line. And in spite of all of the ball that they've enjoyed in the last 3 minutes, they haven't managed to really break out of their own 10-metre line. And Harlequins, its defensive work continues to be put in here. Nice pass back inside, but the tackle comes in from Shauna Brown, putting in huge amounts of defensive work. And the referee has to bring play to a stop because there is a player down injured with a look like a head injury there.
That's really good hands there by Livy Povey. She's taken the ball outside on the outside shoulder of Harlequins defence and put it back inside to a supporting player, creating a sort of line to get in behind Harlequins. So that's well recognised by Livy, and a great tackle made by Harlequins.
Bruise to the eye there for Fee Pocock, who is back up on her feet and ready to go again.
Fee Pocock, for her size, has made her presence felt in the Harlequins defence at 13. We saw just previously a big tackle on the Richmond 12, so she is putting in the hard graft, so a little bump to the eye is probably expected.
into the last minute. Richmond have the put in, but they haven't been able to spend any sustained periods of time down in Quinn's half, and one just wonders, you go back to that moment when Abby Chamberlain missed touch when they had that penalty midway between the 10-metre line and the 22, and just how costly that moment will have been. Quinn's dominant in the set, and that continues as they pick up a penalty. The home crowd know they're nearing the finish line.
You saw what that meant to Harlequins. Davina Catlin there, pumped up, loved the fact that they turned that over, and Harlequins now in the 79th minute are hopefully in control of this last play.
Line out on the edge of the 22. Quins will be looking to see this home now. Ball just over the top. Shauna Brown has to make another tackle. The referee warns her to let that one go. She comes through though, and Capo to try and get Richmond back on the front foot, as they've got to try and play out of defence. Amy, as far as a player of the match is concerned, which side would it come from, trying to be as impartial as possible?
Well, there's been some great players on either side. You had Claire Phelps for Richmond, you've had Charlotte Keane for Richmond, making her presence felt, but also I just think that one that stuck out to me today, and that's been Bobby Hayward. Fantastic around the breakdown.
Well, Alicia D breaks through, and suddenly Harlequins have possession of the ball and a chance to finish on a high. Hayward waits for it, Shauna Brown charges. Richmond's defence to be tested once more. And a little pick and snipe round the edges from Harlequins as they keep this tight once more, and they've looked most dangerous when they've kept it tight. Alicia D held up just short of the line. Hayward looks for it. Shauna Brown burrows and goes. Hayward, who's already scored a try, as has Edwards, and it's Chloe Edwards standing over it. She picks and drives towards the line. Harlequins try and heave her over, and in the end, really good tackling from Richmond to win that back, and I have a feeling Richmond might well have turned that over. They have. The ball comes back, and is touch going to be found? The answer is no. Here goes Jess Breach. Sidesteps round one. Jess Breach ducks back inside. Still Breach goes for the corner and is just bundled into touch. A lovely couple of sidesteps there from Jess Breach, very nearly giving us the grandstand finish that everyone here wanted. But it certainly set the stadium alight in what has been a hard-fought Harlequins win.
Well, what a finish to a game. I think that just showcases where we're at in women's rugby, and it was, you know, disappointing Breach didn't get that try. It would have been the icing on the cake, but it was absolutely fantastic showcase of rugby. Richmond brought it to Harlequins from the off with their defensive capability and trying to break down our breakdowns and trying to turn over ball when they could, and Harlequins, you know, they came back second half and they played the rugby that they want to play. So it's been a great showcase in absolute wonderful venue to be involved in the Tyrrells Premiership.
A record-breaking afternoon here at the Stoop, and in the end Harlequins have just come through it. They win by 14 points to 12, and it's that second half try from Chloe Edwards which in the end has secured the victory, along with that 100% kicking performance from Jessica Wooden. A fantastic advert for the women's game. So much hard graft put in by two sets of players, and in the end it's Quins who come out on top by 2. The final score here from the Stoop: Harlequins ladies 14, Richmond 12.
The Tyrrells Premier 15 player of the match is Jess from Harlequins. Congratulations, Jess. Absolute hard work today.
Yeah, really proud of today. Came out in the first half really hard and we had to kind of dig it back at the end. Really proud of these girls for the effort that they put in.
12-0 now. I know there was some nerves early on, but even during the first half, you started to get back into the game, but you always feel that the picture was there for you.
Yeah, we kind of had to get a little bit warmed up there.
Gary, great performance in the end. You're a bit worried after the opening 20 minutes?
Yeah, definitely. I think the occasion got to us. I mean, it's unusual for a women's club match to have some thousands of people in. What a day for women's rugby. It's been amazing. I think it affects us at the start. Been a lot of media this week. Hopefully our players will get used to it because there'll be more of it. But yeah, second half, I thought we sort of dominated most areas and would have been a couple of scores would have made my heart slow down just a bit.
I was going to say, I mean, you did dominate that second half. Richmond hardly had any time in your half, and yet the final score, just the 2 points. Are you disappointed you didn't get a few more tries?
Yeah, probably, but credit to Richmond, actually. Over the last few weeks, they've improved hugely, especially defensively, and they show that again today. And a local derby here, Quins, Richmond, the history, I think it's always going to be a tight game.
As you say, your players may be a little bit phased by the large crowd at the beginning, and yet Bobby Hayward, one of the youngest, looked not phased at all.
Yeah, she doesn't. I think she's done really, at 17 years old, she's played a couple of games for us now. I don't think she gets phased, and I think she's got some great attributes, and yeah, one for the future.
And really encouraging, you now know that you're going to be playing here at the Stoop in the second half of your semi-final. That's a huge moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, we're just hoping again that people want to come back, and we'll have some internationals to add back to the mix as well, and it'll be a great game. So we hope people want to come back again.
Thanks a lot for your time, Gary. Cheers.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
To win you one team with Tyrrells and Jamie Roberts. The next prize, the final prize, the winner of 5 places at the Richmond Academy training camp, and that is.
This is Twiceknham Sto and Wooden Spoon will be in touch with you.
Congratulations to our Wooden Spoon winners, well done.
Fee, what's it been like to be involved in an occasion like this today?
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. The whole support behind us has been fantastic. All the Quins team has been brilliant. Great advertising, and it's great to see so many people at a women's game, and hopefully we can build from here and get more big crowds.
Did you think that the team felt a little bit phased in that opening 20 minutes, or was that just Richmond came at you so well?
I think Richmond did really well to come at us that hard. We knew they were going to come at us hard in the first 20 minutes, but we didn't necessarily deal with that quite as well as we wanted to. But a win's a win, and we'll build from here into our semi-finals.
What's the biggest positive from today, other than the win? I mean, other than the obvious.
I think so many people coming out to support women's rugby is a fantastic bonus for today. I think coming from 12-0 down, I think we really showed a bit of grit in the end to close that game out and get the win.
Really well done. All the best in the semis and the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks.
A huge moment of the Harlequins ladies and women's rugby in
Capo, in the end, you've lost the game, but you've done your side great credit.
We really enjoyed it today. I think the girls did absolutely brilliantly. To be able to deny Harlequins as well the bonus point win when they've been going out and winning 5 points every single weekend, absolutely huge. And for us to come away with a bonus point is absolutely massive. Our defence is what won us our part of the game today. Like, we just didn't give up.
Your defence did, but the way you started, you were 12-0 up after 20 minutes. I mean, you came out all guns blazing and in front of such a big crowd as well. That must have been huge.
It was absolutely it was massive, absolutely huge, and it's a brilliant stage to play on as well. Some of us have played here before. We've been fortunate to not let that rattle us, but it's a great stage to be able to play on. So to be able to come out in the first half, absolutely guns blazing, and to really put a statement, from the get-go was a big effort from the girls.
You know that you can't make it through to the semi-finals, but as far as the club is going, everything seems to be moving in the right direction ahead of going into next season.
Absolutely. We always knew this year was going to be extremely difficult and extremely challenging, and it's about a readjustment of getting newly into the competition and the new rebranding of it. But we are really excited as to where we are and the direction it is going. And